Welcome to the I Hate Critics movie review podcast. I'm professional film critic Sean Patrick. With me is Jeff.
Hello, people.
Jeff, where can they get your art?
JeffLassiter.com is my website. I recently started updating it, but it's going to take a while. You can also find me on Instagram at Jeff Lassiter Pop Cult. I'm on Blue Sky. I'm all over the place in every
I
sense
just
of the
bought
word.
some of your art.
You did. You bought my new Pearl print.
It's pretty awesome. I've not picked it up
format.
yet, but the picture I've seen of it is awesome.
Well, see, if I had known that you weren't going to pick it up, I would have asked if you wanted me to have Ty West sign it. But I didn't even think about it until I was hanging around that night going, I wonder if Sean's going to get a hold of me.
I had every intention to, but it is time exists. And there's a gas leak in my apartment. I'm pretty sure.
Still. Did you
I think there is. Nobody believes me.
Have you talked to your property manager?
I did get very high Saturday night. But that's completely tangential to everything else.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. On Saturday, I got to meet some of the cast of Friday the 13th Part 5 at Days of the Dead, and I also met Ty West and had a really nice conversation with him.
Really?
I did. I took a couple of my prints. I said, I don't know if you think this is weird or what. He goes, no, I love it. I love getting stuff. And then he looked at it and he was just like, wow. He just kept saying, wow, that's great. Oh my God. And talked about how the marketing team at A24, he wanted to do a poster like the one that I did, that I gave him for Maxine. And they just poo-pooed him and said, no, this is what people like. And he's like, but I'm the actual director and this is what I like. And I got to actually sit on a panel because I wasn't a vendor this time. Because I just couldn't afford to do it. And if you're listening to this and you're running a convention, don't charge so much for artists and vendors, because there were so many empty tables at this event and after talking to a couple people about it, they said, well, it has gone up like $50, since 2 shows ago. So yeah, it is getting to be a little cost prohibitive. I mean, it was already cost prohibitive at $350 last year, but at $400, it's just plus a hotel, plus meals, plus gas. Yeah, I mean, I'm doing quite a bit of stuff coming up. If you're in the Quad Cities, not this coming Saturday, but the Saturday after that, I'm going to pop into the Raccoon Motel second Saturday flea market. Then May 10th, I'll be in Cedar Rapids, Iowa for a show. I can put all this up on our socials. But if you're local and you're looking for something to do, please come and see me. I invited all my friends to the one that I did on Sunday here, and 2 of them showed up. But it's always nice to have the support of the people. So, but if you ever want to see my stuff in person, just follow my socials, because I'm always posting about where I'll be.
And like I said, I highly recommend it because it's going on my wall. There you go. All right, let's talk about movies. Let's talk about The Death of a Unicorn. This is written and directed by Alex Scharfman and starring Jenna Ortega, Paul Rudd, Téa Leoni, Will Poulter, and Richard E. Grant. A father and daughter, played by Paul Rudd and Jenna Ortega, are driving through a forest when they hit a unicorn with their car. It's in the got the horn, it's got everything. Jenna Ortega touches the horn, she can see the future or something. So she bonds with the unicorn, and this turns out to be a baby unicorn, and there are much bigger unicorns running around. And turns out these unicorns have healing powers. So when they go to see this family that happens to be a pharmaceutical company family, they have pharmaceutical billionaires. They want these unicorns so they can, cut them up and sell them for pieces, like what billionaires do. Um,
This is a
hey,
metaphor for the government, right?
hey, look, there's something beautiful. Let's destroy it. It's a metaphor for Wall Street bros.
Basically.
What's really cool is art. Let's destroy that.
Basically, yeah, that's about the gist of it.
The one thing that that really appealed to me about this movie is Paul Rudd. To the point where like I was pitching in my review that we should start a website called Does Paul Rudd Die? Because there's that website Does the Dog Die? And you've got Paul Rudd starring in a horror comedy. You want to make sure that Paul Rudd is going to be okay because he's basically like everybody's favorite dog. He's just the most lovable actor in the world. And I think that would be a very successful website. I'm not going to give away Paul Rudd whether or not Paul Rudd survives this movie or not, but he's still wonderful in it. And it really comes down to that father-daughter story at the end.
Yeah, agreed. Paul Rudd is always kind of sympathetic. He always plays that part, and I appreciated that in here that he was kind of a dick about some stuff,
Mhm.
but meant well while he was being a dick.
Yeah.
I like Jenna Ortega. I think sometimes she seems a little kind of the same in some of her roles.
Mhm.
Um, but for me, once I I mean, it's a death of a unicorn. It's right there in the title, but I tried to avoid as much as I could about it
Mhm.
after I saw the trailer because I wanted to have some little tiny bit of surprise about something,
Right.
and I don't very often. Um, so I what I really appreciated was the fact that Téa Leoni is in it
Yeah.
and is perfect Téa Leoni in this movie. Like everything I love about Téa Leoni was on full display.
Mhm.
um, to the point where it was like, oh, Paul Rudd's in this too. Yeah, okay. But every time Téa Leoni comes on, she just really just steals the scene. Plus, I'm gonna say this, and I almost don't know if I should say it because it's not very kind, but there's something about Will Poulter's face
Mhm.
that deeply upsets me.
Okay.
He's like a butterface. He's got a great body, but her face. Yeah. Um,
What is he? Is he not ugly hot like Adam Driver?
no, he's not ugly hot. There is just something very upsetting about his face, and I think that he plays that kind of douchebag role very well, and I buy into it, I think, a little more because of his weird face. And that sounds so terrible. I know I shouldn't talk about that, but there's just something about him that's very unnerving to me. So, um, yeah, I had a really good time with this movie,
I
all
thought Will
things considered.
Poulter was fantastic. I laughed at just about everything he said. As dark and stupid as his character is, it's like when he starts snorting unicorn horn. I was like, that's absolutely all this. Yes, that's this
I am
character.
not, yeah, I'm
That
not
is
saying anything
that
about his
is
performance. I thought he was pitch perfect as well.
the references to crypto just killed me because yes, this of course this asshole is into crypto. Of course he is.
Mhm.
You can tell that by looking at him. He looks like somebody who likes crypto.
Well, then he drops MBS's name. I'm like, oh god, this is Donald Trump Jr. Um, he's full on doing that oligarchy thing, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. Um, Richard E. Grant, who is just he could basically do anything,
Uh-huh.
like literally anything, from like a gay love story to Star Wars to this.
Yeah.
I just really enjoyed this movie, and that some of the CGI was a little dodgy, but I didn't care.
Hmm.
I really just didn't care. This was my most enjoyable movie of the week, and um, I just was so glad that I got to see it.
I think you can also push into like the weird uncanny valley stuff with a movie like this because it is
Mhm.
kind of magical. They establish that this is kind of a magical universe when they establish that we know that the unicorns are capable of healing, and the fact that they're unicorns really in the real world, like it's already
Mhm.
established that level. And I thought I actually think the wonky special effects kind of work in its favor from that perspective.
Yeah.
Um, if there's one thing that I do kind of that holds me back from like saying this is one of the best of the year or anything is that I do think Jenna Ortega's character is underwritten. I don't think they
Mhm.
gave her enough to do. She's just there to be kind of functional to the plot. She doesn't really have any. She doesn't really get any good jokes. The character is kind of stock in terms of like the daughter who doesn't get along with her dad and eventually will have to get along with her dad again. Paul Rudd seems to
Yeah.
Paul Rudd's character could be just as generic, but Paul Rudd is working in the margins, always working in the margins. He's always coming up with a tick or like it's a physical beat, something that he can do that sets him apart and like makes you stare at that character and kind of be entertained by him. And I just don't think she has that. Not that she's not a star, I think she is, but she just doesn't have that or is not given that opportunity. She's playing such the straight man character to all these other wacky characters that she doesn't get any moment to become a character in her own right.
Yeah. Yeah. That tracks with this movie. Um, she she's almost kind of like her character in Scream, where she's not, you know, you think she's just the first death, but then she's in the rest of the movie, but she doesn't have that much to do because she's hobbled by her injuries. So she's just kind of a device.
Right.
So I thought was really funny was Anthony Kerrigan, who played Griff.
That guy doesn't normally get to play this role, so that was kind of nice. I was happy
Yeah.
for him to see him get a role where he's kind of dunking on people.
Yeah, and see, I've only seen him in older stuff, so
Mhm.
I did not I didn't know he had alopecia, so I didn't know that it was him.
Hmm.
Um, because anything I'd seen him in, it was before he really lost all his hair. Or I guess um he started shaving his head when his alopecia became kind of an issue, and his eyebrows, and he lost his eyelashes, so he looks so completely different. I didn't know it was him until the credits, and I was like, oh, wait a minute, is he from The Forgotten? And then yeah, he's just so great in this. He's just that like, fine, fine, I'll do it.
Yeah, I
But
thought he seemed to be having a great time. I feel like I've seen a lot of him recently. But of course the movies that I saw him in would absolutely escape me right now. But
well, of course they would, because that's how we live our lives.
so yeah, I highly recommend Death of a Unicorn. It's not one of the best movies of the year, but it's quite good.
Yeah, yeah, really, it's a highly recommended by me. Again, like you said, not the best of the year, and for silly reasons. It's nothing that is egregious about it.
Hmm. It's
It's
just a
just
fun
falls a little
horror
short.
comedy.
Yeah.
And it's a good introduction for Alex Scharfman as a writer director who's probably going to do more after this. So he got the co-sign from Ari Aster, who was an executive producer on this, and I can definitely see what appealed to Ari Aster about this, about the kind of the twisted humor of it.
Mm-hmm.
I can definitely see that. So good things for him in the future.
Agreed.
All right. Also out this weekend, A Working Man, directed by David Ayer, written by Sylvester Stallone, and starring Jason Statham, Michael Pena, David Harbour, and Ariana Rivas. It's about human trafficking and Jason Statham killing human traffickers. Just the way that Jason Statham kills people in every Jason Statham movie. Um, and he plays he plays a character named Levon, Levon, but they call him Levon. I always said that. I always thought it was Levon, but anyway, I
Mm,
think of the Elton John song.
yeah.
Most interesting thing about him is the name Levon Cade. Um, because there's a Neil Breen character named Cade, which made me laugh a lot. But nevertheless, this is not quite the Neil Breen movie I was hoping for, but it's still it's not very good, but it's not very bad. The thing about it is that this is a movie that thinks that you have to like it because if you don't, then you're on the side of the human traffickers.
Oh God. It's like a Pure Flix movie.
It's like you're not allowed to hate this movie because if you do, then you're with the human traffickers. You don't think they deserve to get a knife in the throat. I'm like, no, I think human traffickers deserve to get a knife in their throat, but I also think we have the rule of law. Uh,
Not for long.
I'm I, I'm of two minds. Uh, for so basically, just Jason Statham is like every man's fantasy of what they would want to be if they had to rescue a family member from evil. Like he's got every skill imaginable. He's a detective. He's a Navy SEAL. He's a an undercover detective. Like he can do anything, and never change the look on his face one time.
Maybe it's
Um,
not even Jason Statham. Maybe it's somebody in a Jason Statham mask, and that's why.
it wouldn't make any difference. It really wouldn't make any difference. Um, yeah, like there's a part of me that worries that movies like this are part of like a just an accidental grooming of America to think that like human trafficking is completely out of our hands. There's nothing we can do about it. It's so widespread and so underground that there's really nothing we can do about it. And we all just kind of get pushed into the idea that a Jason Statham will come along and fix it all for us. Because we don't want to do the hard work it would take to defeat human trafficking. Things like, changing our laws or looking into the economic systems that create, markets like this, or changing the way we talk about women in public, maybe not dehumanizing them and treating them like sex objects, and that how sex is their worth in the world. You know what I mean? And we don't want to have that conversation. We just want to see Jason Statham stab people in the throat. Uh, because we don't do nuance in this country at all. For some reason, I went into my review. I was talking about. Do you remember in the '88 presidential election, Michael Dukakis is asked by Bernie Shaw about the death penalty. Michael Dukakis was famously opposed to the death penalty, and Bernie Shaw of CNN asked him, "Well, Mr. Dukakis, if somebody raped and murdered your wife Kitty, what would you then still be opposed to the death penalty?" And instead of just telling him to go fuck himself, which is what he should have done, he tried to give a nuanced answer about why the death penalty, why he opposes the death penalty, and people stopped listening to him the second after he didn't just stick a knife in somebody's throat, because that's the way we approach the world.
Could you imagine Michael Dukakis sticking a knife in somebody's throat? Oh God.
He should have stuck like a figurative knife in the throat of Bernie Shaw just for asking that fucking question.
Literally just
bullshit question.
picturing him reaching inside his coat and pulling out a machete.
I mean, because it's such a bullshit question. It's not one or the other. It's not. It really isn't a one or other question. Like, you can defeat bad things by doing good. It doesn't have to be stick a knife in their throat, but we don't do nuance. And so we just kind of sit back and wait for the Jason Statham character to come in and save us. And that's never going to happen, guys.
Yeah.
Statham's an actor. I know he's the avatar for your masculinity. I get that. But he's not real. Jason Statham is not real.
Wait, he's not real? Is he AI? What?
I don't know. He's not real. He doesn't actually have those skills, and he can't save anyone from human traffickers.
Yeah, well, birds aren't real, Sean.
Neither are horses.
Oh God.
What is real? Can you see any? What is the world outside the room you're currently in real? You can't see it right now, can you?
Yeah, I don't know.
My older brother used to do that to me all the time. How do you know How do you know that car's outside? You can't see it right now. It's a car. It's like, nah, but you can't see it right now. You don't know that it's there. It might not be. Fucking asshole.
Oh, well, yeah. Well, knowing that Jason Statham isn't real puts me actually a little bit of ease.
Good. I'm glad. I'm glad I could do that for you.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Um, so number one movie in America, of course. Do I recommend it? I mean, again, I can understand. Like, I kind of want to see human traffickers get knives in the throat as well. I like watching, Russian mobsters get their necks broken. I do enjoy that. I have a lizard brain too. Um, so
You're
they,
talking to
they're
somebody who regularly watches car crash videos and road rage incidents on reels.
exactly
So,
like that. We've all got that part of us that this is certainly appealing to. Uh, do I think it's good? I don't know. I don't think it. I'm not sure. It's definitely diminishing returns at this point. He's doing another Beekeeper movie after this, and it's like, isn't this the Beekeeper sequel? Why did you just make this as the Beekeeper sequel? It's the same fucking movie. He's a guy. He's got special skills. He takes vengeance against people who hurt people who are close to him. The Beekeeper movie again. Which I gotta say, a guy at the movie theater had the best line. He was telling me that there's going to be a Beekeeper sequel, and he said, "I know what they should call it: To Be or Not to Be."
uh, no, he should keep the bees from the Bee movie in this one.
A little Jerry Seinfeld sitting on his shoulder the entire movie and making wisecracks.
You should go kill the Palestinians. I don't know why. I told myself I wasn't going to get as political this week, but anyway, yeah, I had absolutely no interest in seeing this movie,
Mm-hmm.
and everything I thought it was going to be is what you have described.
Yeah.
So I have no, I'm not even sorry that I didn't see it. That I could have made the effort today, and I'm like, nope. Let
It's all
Sean talk about
competent.
it.
David Ayer is a competent director, but I would like something a little more than competent in my movies, but whatever. It's competent. The fights are fights. There's knives being shoved into throats, and what else can you ask for?
Plot, nuance, character development. Oh wait, I'm sorry, that's too much to ask.
Yeah. Did anybody get a knife in the throat in the woman in the yard? I don't think so. I doubt it.
Well, Jason Statham stars in The Woman in the Yard. No, I'm just kidding.
Or he sticks a knife in a woman's throat.
Yes. No, I saw The Woman in the Yard. It's a very, very straightforward plot. A woman keeps showing up in a yard of this family who recently lost the husband and father in a car accident, and she delivers chilling warnings and unsettling messages. Nobody knows who she is or why she's there, or what she might do to them. Um, and it's basically it's kind of almost a it's got like five people in the cast. That's how how tight and small the story is. Danielle Deadweiler plays Ramona, who is an artist who recently lost her husband to a car crash, um, and is feeling some type of way about it. And we're trying to figure out why she feels the way she feels. Her son Taylor and her daughter Annie are also in this farmhouse that they had been restoring before the death of her husband and their father.
Mm-hmm.
And she keeps dreaming about him. She doesn't want to get out of bed. She has a pretty bad leg injury, and she just keeps saying, give me the strength, give me the strength. And hope she does get the strength to get through the day and get through everything that's going to happen to her, which basically is just this woman sitting on a chair in the front yard and then moving closer and
Hmm.
then stalking the family a little bit, reaching out with her shadows. I don't know if I want to give away who she is or why she's there, but I also feel like I want to spoil it a little bit because it really it doesn't it doesn't deliver on the promise of the ending to me. Um,
I know who she is.
okay, so if you don't want to if you want to watch the movie and you don't want to hear it, just skip ahead like 5 minutes in the show. But um, when Ramona is getting out of bed in the morning and she keeps saying, "Give me strength," she doesn't mean to get through the day. She wants the strength to kill herself because she feels guilty about the fact that she was actually driving when her husband died. Their marriage was kind of in trouble and they were having a fight at a restaurant. And she got up to leave and he followed her out. She was going to drive and she was, they were fighting when she wasn't paying attention and she killed him and she wants to die herself. And the woman is death, come to help her kill herself. And it's very depressing. You always want in these horror movies where something is coming up to try to fight somebody or claim somebody's life or whatever. You want them to persevere. You want them to get the way they get their way, and she does, but not for the reasons that you want her to. Um, you think at the very last minute that as she's putting, as the woman is helping her put the shotgun to her chin, you think, okay, she's, the woman kind of absorbs into her. And then you cut to, everybody's happy and the lights come back on because they've been out all day. Um, you see that she's been painting again. And when you realize that throughout the movie, she's been seeing things that are backwards. So she's seeing everything um, kind of the opposite as it should be. And that's how she knows that she's kind of in this other world. Well,
Mm.
the very last shot of the movie is the signature on her painting is backwards. So she has succeeded in killing herself and she's just in a happier place where her children are with her.
Did you
And
kill the kids too?
no, she sent them away. She sent them
Okay.
away. It's just, it's, I guess we do need downer endings once in a while, but it's such a downer to see someone who, seems to be regaining her strength and is able to, protect her kids, but at the same time, like has fantasies about stabbing her daughter, I guess. So I guess maybe it's good that she killed herself, but
Mm.
um, it's so downer at the end. I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, well that sucks.
Yeah, that's a pretty big bummer.
And it's just, it's not like when I watched No Other Land, that was very effective in getting you to like really think about it at the end. And nobody
Hmm.
talked about it. Nobody talked at all when we left that movie. But this, nobody was talking about it except looking at each other, going like, "Did we just watch what we watched? Did she actually just go through with it?" And it's just like it was just so depressing, and not in a make you think kind of way,
Hmm.
more in a make you go, "Oh, okay, well, I hope the next movie I see is a little better." Not it wasn't a bad movie. I mean, it was mercifully short for what
Well,
it
that's
was
good.
doing. Some of the Bloomhouse movies, if they try to stretch out into like a 2.5 hour movie, like fucking Night Swim, um, it was
Piece of crap.
mercifully short
Yeah.
for what it was. It didn't need to be any longer than it was, and that actually it was shorter than I actually thought I was going to be. I was also a little disappointed because the director directed some really good horror movies. Like he directed Orphan, which I just love. I love the movie Orphan. I thought that the twist was handled well. It was just, you know, just really great. He did House of Wax, where
Oh,
Paris Hilton gets killed, which was fun. Um, I actually sidebar on my way up to Chicago this weekend. I was listening to Paris Hilton's autobiography, and she talked about that. And she said, "You know what? I thought it was fun that everybody was like, watch Paris die." So she was in on the joke, which makes me happy because I kind of like her now.
okay.
Um, but he directed some decent movies. He directed Orphan, House of Wax, Unknown, and The Shallows, all of which were at least decent.
I like
So
the Shallows.
yeah, I thought that was pretty effective. Unknown was interesting.
I don't remember that one.
It's Liam Neeson. He loses his memory, I think, and then
I think
has
I've lost
to.
my memory of it. No.
It's him and Diane Kruger.
Hmm.
Um, and he wakes up from a coma, and he realizes somebody took his identity, and he has to prove who he is. With That's where Diane Kruger comes in. It was pretty good. It wasn't bad. It was 2011. I think I saw it just on a whim. Because I like Liam Neeson in those kind of stupid roles. But I was a little disappointed that the director Jean Collet Serra that he didn't do a little more with it. But overall, it was fine. But nothing, Death of a Unicorn was much much better.
Yeah, it's
So
easily the best movie of the weekend. There's no doubt about that. Before we get into our classic, into a difficult conversation, I do want to throw out a mention for the I Hate Critics 1995 podcast. That hasn't gone up yet. There's one ahead of it where we talked about Party Girl with them, with Amy and
yay.
MJ, and we talked about Candyman Farewell to the Flesh as well on that episode, but it hasn't gone up yet. But the next episode after that is going to be Tommy Boy, which turned 30 over the weekend with Chris Farley and David Spade. And
Richard.
I right now on all of my social media feeds, you can find me making the economic case for Tommy Boy as a good movie.
Oh, I don't think it's a bad movie. I actually loved it.
Really?
I thought it was really fucking funny.
But have you ever made the economic case for it to be a good movie?
No, no, why would I?
Because I think it's a utopian capitalist movie. I think it's a movie where this is what capitalism is supposed to be, where instead of a nepo baby selling off his entire company for scraps so that he can buy more yachts, he goes out of his way to save the jobs of everyone that he cares about. And that's kind of what capitalism should be, or what we were promised it should be. And I kind of love this movie because it has that heart to it that the right would rather it didn't have.
Yeah, that's actually a really good point. I would never have thought about it that way. But I want to read your review now.
This is what people hate about me. This kind of stuff. Just tell me about the
Yeah.
stupid movie where the fat guy's in the little coat, Sean. But no, but
That guy
what about the case for utopian capitalism at the heart of Tommy Boy?
I was telling somebody they scanned my QR code on the back of my phone that I carry with me everywhere. They're like, "Oh, you do a podcast?" I said, "Yeah, it's I Hate Critics. We're talking about movies, and lately we get really fucking political." And he pulls it up. He's like, "Empathy? Oh, people are gonna hate that." And I was like, "Oh, I'm sure." Um, but yeah, I mean, there's ways to look at movies that aren't just did he shoot the gun very well?
Right? I know
So
people would rather not have that human trafficking conversation in my working man review, but I was going to do it because that's how I feel. Like I feel like that kind of movie is growing irresponsible in sort of accidentally grooming people into the idea that there's nothing they can do about economic issues like human trafficking, which yes, it's a human issue, but it's also an economic one. And the same thing with Tommy Boy. Tommy Boy's a very silly comedy about a fat guy in a little coat, but it's also a movie that happens to make the case that there can be a good version of capitalism.
yeah, could be, but
I love doing stuff like that. I love it. I love it that there are people who get mad when I do that. It makes me happy. You're the kind of person who needs to be mad, apparently. So, if you're mad at that, you're just the kind of person I'm looking for.
Yep.
All right. So we have to have a very sad conversation here, but also one that we hope will turn at least a little bit uplifting as we celebrate the work of a man who's not dead, is just kind of got the worst possible illness that's imaginable for someone in his position. We're talking about Drew Struzan, whose art is just essential to the universe. And there was a 2015 documentary about him that Jeff, you selected as our classic this week.
Yeah, it was 2013. Sorry, but I actually did see this when it came out when I was living in New York City. I basically it's all of the people that Drew Struzan worked with up until that point when he retired, um, kind of gushing over what like the kind of art that we all love and we take for granted. Um, and you've got people from like Guillermo del Toro to Frank Darabont to George Lucas and Steven Spielberg talking about how the posters that he has drawn made those better movies. And in some cases, like Masters of the Universe, they want to see that movie because that's not the movie that they actually got to watch. Um, Drew Struzan has been incredibly inspirational to me over the years. I think if you look at some of my movie stuff, you can see that.
Oh, absolutely.
I have tried for 25 years to learn how to do airbrushing, and I have never been able to pick it up. That's why I work digital a lot now. But it shows you the creation of like the Star Wars Episode 1 poster, right up to the Indiana Jones posters that he's done. All of these kind of works in progress, and then the story behind some of those, and the story behind how he got to be who he became. Um, I I can't really kind of be objective about it because of what an inspiration he was. But when his wife came out recently under his account and said that he has pretty advanced dementia and that is the real reason that he can't sign stuff. He used, for a while you could send him something and he would sign it and take care of it. He doesn't. He used to do some. He would, I guess, if you begged hard enough, and you were possibly into maybe purchasing some items, you might be able to come to his studio when he was working on non-movie things. But his wife last week posted that he is not able to do any of that anymore, and that he's not doing well and will not be getting better, which is incredibly sad. That I knew probably about 10 years ago that he's retired. He's not just. He did a one sheet kind of teaser poster for episode 7 Star Wars, and that was kind of his kind of last big piece. And watching him kind of just explain how he got to where he was and some of the ideas behind some of the posters. Now how he just loves Harrison Ford, you could just tell, and he had a very awkward meeting with him.
The fact that they never met until Crystal Skull, was it?
No, it was Extraordinary Measures, the junket for that. Yeah, he just happened to be there. He did. Everybody's seen The Mist, I'm assuming, and Thomas Jane plays basically Drew Struzan in that.
Wonderful anecdotes about Jane not being able to do what Struzan told him to do. No, you got it wrong. You couldn't.
Yeah,
You did it wrong.
just um, he also does he also kind of shows his process and how he often poses himself for things like some of the Indiana Jones posters that he's done were literally him in an Indiana Jones costume and posing the way he wanted to draw Indiana Jones. The iconic poster for Big Trouble in Little China, where
Mhm.
Kurt Russell's got guns in each hand, that's him. That's and as he says, I was a lot younger then.
It broke my heart to hear that he didn't like it though. He didn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
his own work. He thinks that is like one of his least. Meanwhile, you've got who is it? The Frank Darabont saying he wants to track down the original print and try and steal it because he wants it so bad.
Yeah. Well, and you see all these other artists who created like iconic stuff. Like, Greg Hildebrandt is in there and it's talking about he's saying, and he's one of the best that ever lived, and he's saying that Drew is the best. I'm just like, wow, imagine being so talented and being so revered for what you've done for illustration. That you've got the best artists out there doing exactly what you're doing, and they still come and say you're the best. So I don't know. I want everybody to see it, and that's kind of why I chose it because I wanted to talk about it and see, let everybody know it's on Prime and they can see it, and they might not even know who he is, but they know his art. And you know, if you've seen any of the Harry Potter posters, you know who he is. If you've seen a lot of the Star Wars posters, you know who he is. One of the best pieces he's ever done to me is the Hellboy poster that Guillermo del Toro wanted to be the actual poster for the movie, but this was in the let's photograph a bunch of people and Photoshop them all stacked on top of each other era. So the studio said no, and he ended up buying the piece and releasing it as a limited edition print. That's how much these people love him. And if I can tell you right now, if I ever met Guillermo del Toro, I wouldn't talk to him about any of his movies. I would sit down and talk to him about Drew Struzan.
It is it's maddening to me that we live in this day and age that we're in now, where you've got so much AI art that is being used and is going to be used, and you've got these assholes from Wall Street running movie studios,
Mhm.
and the things that they're cutting are things like, well, we could pay Drew Struzan, this is back in the day, $25,000 to create an iconic movie poster. Now that's the part of the budget we're going to cut.
Mm-hmm.
What? It's an $85 million movie. You can't pay the guy $25,000 to create a poster that's going to live forever and
Yeah.
create an image of your movie that is going to last the test of time. We can just let AI do it. It'll be fine. We'll
Ugh.
get an intern. We'll get an intern from the mailroom to just use some Chat GPT and just tap us up a poster that way. Fuck you, and fuck you for ruining the entire industry. And the fact that Drew Struzan ever had to audition for any of these fucking people or be told that they want a cheaper solution. Just everybody who's ever thought that in Hollywood, you can go fuck yourself. Just go
Yeah.
fuck yourself. I mean, the reason Back to the Future is successful, I guarantee you, I promise you, is that poster. People
Mm-hmm.
saw that poster and they said, I want to see that movie.
Yeah.
That's why. As great as
Well,
Michael J. Fox is, as beloved as he is, as great a movie as that is, people don't remember that movie without that poster.
and they created it 3 different times for 3 different
Mm-hmm.
movies and just kept it up.
It's literally the first. If I say Back to the Future, that picture is in your head.
Yes, yes. You can't think of Back to the Future. You can't think of a lot of these movies without thinking first of his artwork and the poster that he did for each one. Name it. There was one John Amsel who I'm also a huge fan of. There was one John Amsel Indiana Jones poster that everybody knows. The rest are all Drew Struzan. The Police Academy ones, he did all of them.
And
You know, he did.
he loved those. He talks about it in the documentary. He loved doing the Police Academy posters.
Yeah.
Because it gave him a chance to stretch a little bit. It would be funny. And the thing is, like a lot of these movies, he didn't even bother seeing them. But he would make the poster before the movie was even out. But
Well,
he would
Masters
still
of the
define,
Universe.
like it would define what the movie should have been with his image, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he did do some big stinkers. I mean,
But the poster art was still great.
oh yeah, yeah. You know, like he did the Goonies. How iconic is that? Hook, Blade Runner. Just so many, you know, and people are like totally stealing his style, and I'm fine with that because he's not he even said when he retired, you know, look, I'm not doing that anymore. So, you know, if you can do it that way, go ahead. I don't care. Um
It, when it's good, I consider it an influence. If it's bad, if it's not living up to that, then you're just stealing it. I think that's
yeah.
the way that works. I've always felt that way about rap. It's like everybody in rap, is going to do the same thing or something. They might sound the same, but if somebody does that well, it stands out.
Hmm.
It's different. It's great because it's doing the same thing everybody else is doing, but it's doing it better.
Yeah. Yeah. He I've got his book as well, and there's a whole like almost whole chapter of his adventures in babysitting
Hmm.
poster, and how it went from his basic sketch that they were like cool, and then when he finished it, they were like, well, we need to take this out, we need to change this. So we would cut out pieces and then put the paper down and kind of fix it and then add. It's just so interesting. And I love art. That's like the only thing I really live for anymore. So I mean, you know, that's why I just respect him so much, and I'm glad we get to talk about him before he's gone because everybody says, well, you should always talk about him before they're gone, and I really really appreciate the fact that he is still around and still gets these messages that people send him, and um the I have actually an action figure of his Thing poster that he did
Oh wow.
in just a few hours. They made an action figure a couple of years ago for Comic-Con that I was like, I gotta have that because it's Drew Struzan. So
He had no idea. Like they told him
yep.
they were remaking the thing from outer space and to come up with a concept, and so he did. and,
In
then,
like
and just
yeah,
creates the most iconic thing imaginable.
and he did it in like a few hours and it was still wet when they got to them to take a photo of it. That's how quickly he worked on the one of the most iconic posters of all time.
I mean,
So
that's amazing. That's genius in action. That's Mozart shit. That's
yeah,
Beethoven shit. Like that's just what geniuses are capable of.
yeah.
Um, and that's the thing right now is that what I really want to use this moment for, because this is the moment for it, is just to make the case for art and
Hmm.
and to just talk about how these fucking Wall Street ghouls and these Silicon Valley ghouls want to take art away from artists. They want to commodify it. If they can't quantify it on a fucking spreadsheet, they don't want to fucking pay for it. And
Yep.
I'm done with that. I think we all need to be done with that. We all need to be done with the idea that they get to tell us anything about what art is or what art means.
Yeah.
It's disgusting to me that the David Zaslavs of the world or whoever get to tell us what they think art should be because it should be based on commerce. And no, it should be based on
Hmm.
inspiration. It should be based on it should be based on the marketplace of ideas. It should be based on the idea that this is really, really good and deserves our attention and our support. And the arts need our support at all times. Our imagination is under attack. The idea of a person like Drew Struzan is under attack. The Hollywood today would have shown Drew Struzan the door years ago, and never it would have never created anything iconic because they all want everything to be market tested and homogenous and commodified in a way that only makes sense to them. So you get these busy nonsense posters of people heads stacked on top of each other randomly. It's just every poster looks the fucking same. There's just because there's no thought put into it anymore. And I'm just so sick of it. It's got to stop. The only way this changes is if we decide it needs to change. Like, I was reading a thread the other day, and this is a bit of a tangent, but this is what I do. There's a thread going on about how people aren't going to the movies, and the movie theaters are dying. And it's like, so I just chimed in and I said, well, then go to the fucking movies.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly.
it's not gonna. You want to save movie theaters? You can sit here and commiserate on Facebook, or you can just get up and go to a fucking movie. Go see any movie. Let's save the theatrical experience. Go to the movies. Go see The Death of a Unicorn. Go see Working Man. Go see Woman in the Yard. Go see it. See it for yourself. Join the conversation. Be part of the conversation. That's what I've always said. Even if I don't recommend a movie, if you're interested, go see it, talk about it, tell me what it means to you.
Yeah, that's literally the only thing that's going to make anything happen in this world, is if people stop being fucking complacent about shit and stand up and say, this is what we want, this is how we want it, and this is why we want it.
Walmart and Target have each lost billions of dollars in the last month because people aren't going there because of their DEI policies. They just stopped going. That's how capitalism is supposed to work. When a company does something we don't like, we don't support them. By the other token, if you want to support art, you need to buy art.
And you can get my art at. I'm just kidding.
I'm saying, though, not just for you, but like forever. Yeah. Like, how are we going to have the next great world-changing artist, the names that are going to resonate through history, if we're let Silicon Valley and Wall Street tell us that AI can do that? AI cannot do that. AI cannot create lasting art. It cannot create something from an imagination. It can't do it. It'll never do it. It'll never be good. And I'm not going to let anybody tell me that AI art can be good. It can't. No. It has no heart. It has no passion. And that's where true art comes from. It comes from passion. It comes from imagination. It comes from care. And AI can't do that. And that is why you need to go against AI. That's why you need to destroy any notion of AI doing any kind of art or imaginative work, writing of any kind. People have been telling me for years that, why do you write full-length movie reviews? And because a computer could do that for you. And I'm like, no, it can't. No, I keep having to correct fucking bullshit documents on Google Docs to tell them, no, that's not how I speak. This is how I speak. And I'm right. I like to use words that aren't used every day. I don't want to simplify every fucking sentence.
Yeah.
And this is with this situation with us about to lose one of the great artists who's had such an amazing effect on my imagination, on your imagination, on the imagination of millions of people who may not even know his name. This is the moment we need to have this conversation.
Yeah, I think that if you value stuff and you don't support it in a real tangible way by buying the CDs or the LPs from your favorite artist, buying their merch, buying art from actual artists instead of Target or IKEA or anything like that, you have no say in the matter when something gets taken away from you. I was on Threads today on one of my little breaks that I took, and there was so much discussion about how AI sucks and people dunking on AI. It made me happy to see that, but then some of it I was like, oh well, I guess a lot of it's just people reposting everybody else's stuff and copying word for word their thread. But I I was really kind of heartened to see that people actually kind of were standing up to it a little bit. So
You know, I'm not, I don't have a lot of influence, but what influence I have, I think I want to use to try and convince people that if you're going to be on social media, change your avatar to an actual piece of art that you created or an artist created. Do
mhm.
that today. Do that immediately.
You can
You
use
know,
any of mine anybody wants.
well, that's the thing. I'm already doing that. If you go to seanatthemovies.blogspot.com
Mhm.
or if you go to Vocal, you can see that my logo was created by Jeff. It's an original piece of art that he created based off of The Big Lebowski. That is essentially me in that picture because I've grown my hair out very, very long now, and the goatee. It's actually me as the dude, but nevertheless, um, that is an original piece of art that was imagined and created by Jeff. So I don't really need to change mine. Mine's already there, but I want everybody else there. I've also just bought a piece of Jeff's art that is pretty incredible. It's going to be all over my social media when I finally stop being lazy and pick it up. Um, uh, just get out there, find a piece of actual art created by a human being, and make that your avatar online, and let's just demonstrate to these fucking ghouls in Silicon Valley and fucking Wall Street that we value imagination, we value actual art, and not the bullshit that they're trying to sell us.
Yeah,
And,
I
and do it for Drew Struzan. Do it for Drew Struzan. Do it for the actual artists.
yeah, I think that I was talking to a couple of my friends who are artists this weekend at Days of the Dead, and there's so much that goes into creating something that you just take for granted. Like, the like Blu-ray covers, if they're done, if they're done by an actual artist and they're not just stacked, seek out those artists.
Mm.
You know, seek out those artists and buy their art from them. I know that a lot of us are able to create. If we create something like I did do a poster for something that hopefully is still coming out. I haven't heard anything uh, lately, but I'm able. I said one of the things is I want to be able uh, to sell a version of my art, and that was part of my contract with it. And I'm glad to see that some of these artists are getting their due, uh, however small.
Mhm.
Even just by going to these conventions and selling posters. Um, you know that that that's I think what's kind of most important, um, is if you're going to support them right there. Just if you come to an artist at a show that you really like, say, hey, can I buy your art? And if they've got it, then of course.
Mm.
So I don't know. I get a little wistful because I do have a lot of people that I see at shows, who tell me how much they like my art, and then they're just like, yeah, okay, well, maybe I'll get it someday. And I'm like, well, get it now because I don't know if I'm gonna be able to keep doing it if people don't buy it.
Right?
you know? Like my friend Joel, he did the Halloween 4K Scream Factory posters.
Oh wow.
And I was talking to him this weekend, and I was he I a couple years ago we did a show together, and I bought his Halloween 3 poster. And I thought I lost it. I was like, "Yeah, I was actually thinking about you." And he goes, "What do you mean?" I said, "Well, the other day I was like, God, I wish I could find that Halloween 3 poster that I bought because I really want to put it up. I've got some yeah, I've got some room and whatever, and I wanted to put it up, but Haven't been able to find it. And I was like, well, maybe I can get another one from him if he's at Days of the Dead. And I was going through some of my artwork to sell off, and it was behind one of my pieces, and it like immediately went up on the wall. And he was just so like, really? Oh my God, that's so cool. And we really do think about stuff like that. We, you know, a sale isn't just a sale.
Mm-hmm.
It's, you're kind of sending off your kids off into the world a little bit. I know it sounds kind of cheesy, but it really does. Sometimes does feel like that. When somebody buys a Serial Mom poster from me, which is my best-selling poster on my Etsy shop, and it shows, I get to tell them the story of, when I met Kathleen Turner and she signed it for me. That's the kind of stuff that I like talking about when it comes to my artwork. So please buy from artists, support physical media, because physical media is one of the one of the items that is still using original art.
And it can't be taken away from you by Silicon
Yes.
Valley guys or Wall Street. They can't take that from you. They can take your digital download. They cannot take your physical media from you.
And when you get something on, like, say on Voodoo or Fandango at home, whatever it's called now, you buy that, and there's a display photo that's up there. And I've noticed over the last couple of years that a lot of I have Big Trouble in Little China, and the Drew Struzan poster of that, every time I would go buy it, I was just like, I just love looking at the gallery of it. And there was some really cool Hunger Games art for a while, and now that it's all changing and they're just doing the stacked Photoshop stuff. So buy physical media with real art. Let companies like Scream Factory and Shout Factory and, Arrow Video, let them know that you want original artwork.
Absolutely.
Do it for Drew.
Yes. Do it for Drew. All right. Next week, speaking of art, we've got Minecraft the movie.
Yeah, I'm not seeing that.
Oh, come on. Biggest movie of the weekend. You got to see Minecraft the movie. It's the biggest thing of the weekend.
If you can get me in for free, I will see it, but I'm not paying for that shit.
We've also got The Friend with Bill Murray and Naomi Watts. It's a movie about a guy dying and gives his best friend a dog, and it's a very big dog. And Hell of a Summer, Finn Wolfhard's horror movie that's been talked about for quite some time. Only 88 minutes long, which I love. That makes me very happy. But also, I really enjoyed the trailer for that one. Fred Heckinger and Finn Wolfhard, and a very funny cast doing kind of a summer camp horror movie.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that one. I almost wish that we hadn't done sleepaway camp movies as classics so that we could pick those for next week. But
we got to talk to Bob. What is we've got episode 666 coming up soon.
Yeah, I'm gonna find out when that is, because then we're gonna do a whole like devil movies.
We're going to hell. Oh wait, it's Trump's America. We're already there. All right, Jeff, thanks.
Have a good one.